Hey, everyone who's joined today's Product Day webinar. We're going to be getting started here in just a few moments. I'm Tito. I'm one of the co-founders and co-CEOs here at Teambridge. And we also have Julia on our customer success team who will be moderating some of the chat. So feel free to chat in, ask questions, and she'll be answering those as best she can. We have a lot to cover today, so I'm going to go ahead and jump right in, and we'll let some of the other folks who are trickling in join as they do. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. So today we're going to be looking back at some of the awesome things that we shipped in 2024. We're going to be looking at some focus areas for 2025. We're going to actually be highlighting some things that are coming very soon in the roadmap here in Q1. And then we're going to be looking at some kind of exciting previews for 2025 as a whole. So in 2024, we shipped a lot. We shipped over 200 mobile experience enhancements, and I know a lot of the folks on this call might not have seen too many of those because a lot of you are probably admins on the Teambridge account. We'll highlight a few of those. We shipped even features like bulk updates, which seem long ago, early in 2024. We shipped entire platforms like the task platform, and the job matching platform was completely re-overhauled. We shipped custom UI updates like custom shift cards and custom job cards. We also shipped massive platform upgrades, new column types, whether that's smart field or generated columns, rating schemas, currency columns, roll-ups, buttons. All of those were done this year, prior to which, we had kind of, the basics, but it's really exciting to see how much we've actually delivered this year alone. So let's jump into some of those changes. As I mentioned, 200 plus mobile experience and improvements. Now that's everywhere from the actual selectors in the mobile app to filtering, to even just empty states and easy ways to add new records. And this can be seen most commonly on your HCPs or your staff's licenses and documents page, so that they don't kind of, have to find small buttons. They can see exactly what they need to right in front of them very easily. Now, these experience improvements might seem small, but the cool thing is when you aggregate these, we start to see massive improvements to completion rates and the speed at which different flows are completed, all which are really important in a number of different areas. As I mentioned, we made massive platform upgrades. We added entirely new data types that let you complete workflows that were never before possible. The rating schema, similar to like an Uber or driver or rider rating, became very popular for rating facilities or rating employees after a shift to be able to establish like, hey, who are my best people? Who are my best clients? Smart fields allowed us to actually dynamically look at that data and create AI-generated summaries or translations. Buttons allowed for quick actions to be able to click a button and run an automation. Rollups allowed you to aggregate that data, and currency column types allowed you to create, more unique pay structures. We also shipped a totally revamped version of our task platform, which many people use for onboarding or robust credentialing. This allowed you to map exactly the credentials that were needed for specific jobs, for specific role types, allowing some companies to completely automate their entire onboarding process, from the initial registration all the way through, uploading their driver's license, getting confirmed, and moving them to new access groups so they could pick up new opportunities in their mobile app. We also shipped multi-language support. If this is something you're interested in and it's not activated in your account, please reach out to your CSM or your implementation manager, who can definitely get you set up. The cool thing about the way Teambridge does multi-language support is that we leverage our flexibility. So not only can you activate, the auto translation, but you can also customize those translations for your industry so that you're not kind of, falling short in some of those areas where AI translation or automatic translation misses kind of the crux of what you are doing uniquely. As I mentioned, we shipped the jobs platform. The jobs platform allows you to create not just shift matching, but it allows you to actually establish like longer term job marketplaces all within the mobile app. And one of the cool things about the Teambridge platform is that we're not just shipping one version of this job platform or even our calendar. We're actually up-leveling the entire flexibility by allowing you to select exactly what matters. So you can create the custom columns, and then you can actually decide what shows on those cards for your end users. So if you don't care as much about, the actual city, or you want to hide that, and instead you want to show a trending, fire emoji that this is a hot job in your area, you can actually do that. The same thing goes for shift cards, and shift cards can now be customized so that you can decide exactly which schemas show for you. So if you go into your account, you can go into any access group and actually define which columns show for that shift. So all of these the custom data that matters to you, that helps you incentivize folks to pick up shifts, to pick up opportunities, you can decide how that shows, in what order that shows on both your shift and the job cards in your tool. So that's a little bit of kind of, a reminder of all the things that we shipped in 2024. Now, looking forward to 2025, we have a lot of exciting things. In 2024, I would say the theme was that we, became this kind of, go-to player in the industries where we operate because of our flexibility. In 2025, we want to really become one of the most powerful platforms out there and deliver on kind of our two key focuses. One is trust and the other is value. Now, trust is really important because we are not the move fast and break things company. We can't be, Facebook that doesn't actually have much downside if they go down. Teambridge is the mission critical platform for our customers. And because of that, we need to make sure we establish an extreme level of trust. And that's why it's one of our key focuses here in 2025. Our partners put their trust in Teambridge to be their operational system of record. They put their trust in Teambridge to be the way that they grow and they experiment. And we need to reciprocate that trust by really doubling down from both a product, platform, and engineering perspective to make sure we deliver and we reciprocate that trust. Now, the second key focus for 2025 is value. Now, value can mean a lot of things, but really the value that we need to derive is the value that our customers are seeking. So we need to focus on features. We need to focus on core completed workflows that actually measurably increase your business. So if your business is tied to someone picking up more shifts, we need to actually A/B test and structure our feature releases based on the fact that we know we can increase those shift requests. We need to deliver to you the recipes and the automations that deliver a higher amount of shift requests so that your business can grow tactically. In the same way that tech companies will A/B test or experiment, we want you to be able to A/B test and experiment and grow and get 1% better every day. So these are our two kind of key focus areas for the year, trust and value. Now, if we jump into just trust in the short term, in the immediate, Q1, what we're looking at here, I wanted to highlight a few kind of areas where we're going to be, delivering features or process improvements in the next kind of few months here. So first, on pay transparency. We completely overhauled our kind of pay backend in the last quarter to handle, more flexible use cases and allow us to handle kind of the scale at which Teambridge is operating. So we're building much more robust tooling for pay calculations, and we're creating more transparency across the board there. So not only will these pay calculations be faster, more accurate, but also we're going to show you all the calculations in line in your record detail modals in the tool itself so that, there's less questions about, hey, how did this number get calculated? We're also going to allow for self-service integration mapping. So that way, you can, you don't need to reach out to Teambridge when you need to make a small change. You don't need to actually, request help or engineering time to map additional fields from an existing integration. You can just go into your integration settings screen and update that. We're also going to show you where the data comes from in Teambridge. So if there is external data inside your Teambridge columns, we're going to show you where that comes from. So all of this really is kind of around this transparent theme. Like how can we build that trust through transparency about how calculations are being made and where data is coming from? The second kind of category here in trust, just in Q1 alone, again, this is, we have a lot of big plans for 2025, but we wanted to give you kind of a sneak peek into what's coming in the very near term. The second kind of is the automation reliability. Our customers have been running millions of automations inside of the platform on a daily basis. And that's super exciting. And we love that, how much people are doing with automations. But with that comes kind of the responsibility for us to be able to handle that scale. So we're completely refactoring the tech automation or the automation technology to make sure we reduce latency to near zero. We know that automations can run anything from copying data to clocking someone out. And in those cases, we need to be near real time so that pay calculations are not affected by, any type of delay. In the past, we had what we call asynchronous elements to our automations, meaning that we wanted to make sure they ran. So no matter what, we would put them in a queue. But now we're adding the synchronicity, meaning that certain actions we know have to be exactly real time. And that will help us reduce kind of that near latency as we bifurcate, those two different types of tasks. We're going to increase our monitoring and our tracking capabilities extremely to be able to guarantee that we're delivering on this value. So you'll see that kind of theme. And as you interact with your implementation managers and CSMs, you also understand that we have a lot more kind of tracking and capabilities on our back end to be able to catch any issue before it even goes into production. The final thing I wanted to mention here is more of a process update. We're going to be enhancing our engineering SLAs. Now, we already have SLAs that are pretty strict around anything that is urgent, where engineers will start working immediately, expecting a resolution in that same day. We're going to be actually decreasing the threshold for what we qualify as a SLA warranted ticket. So even issues that right now we track as medium, that are not blockers, that are not considered, P0 or P1, to use some other terminology, are actually going to be moved up into our SLA there. So this should mean much faster issue resolution times, as well as better communication across the board there, because we're going to create additional customer-facing trackers for any issue reported. So there should be kind of near real-time updates to you as soon as engineering starts working, completes work, and pushes any fixes to production. We also expect this to mean a significant reduction in the overall issues reported because of these monitoring dashboards that allow us to catch things before they go into production. And the final thing I'll just call it here that isn't listed is that we're allocating significant time and even resourcing issue-specific engineers that will be solely focused on the customer-facing, reported bugs to make sure that anything that you guys encounter gets addressed nearly immediately. So looking at, before I get to 2025, I also want to kind of jump into that second theme, value. So value in Q1 is super exciting because our trust requires us to do a lot of things behind the scenes, improve our processes, improve communication, improve monitoring, and kind of the infrastructure. Value is kind of, the more feature heavy side of things. And we want to make sure we're delivering immense value to our customers by making sure the building blocks that go into Teambridge can be used in really creative, cool ways to build differentiating tool sets compared to the competition out there. So looking at value in Q1, there's kind of three different categories I like to summarize. One is, let's call it the end user, the mobile kind of side of things. Two is the admin efficiency. How do you as admins, owners, leaders of your organizations get more efficient and make your other admins more efficient as well? And then three is kind of the core functionality that will unlock use cases that honestly, we don't even know what you guys will do with it, because that's the exciting bit. We know some of the things that people want and how they're going to use it, but we've started to identify core building blocks that will really unlock, exciting use cases here in the Teambridge platform. So first, let's look at the mobile side of things. Increased mobile engagement is one of our key objectives for this quarter. That means we want to make it so easy, so delightful for your users to pick up shifts, view their schedules, find new job opportunities, complete tasks, and get exactly the data they need immediately. So the first thing listed here is the shift map view. We know that for folks who are running, medical staffing agencies on the per diem side, they want their users to be able to quickly browse where they are, see what's near them, see the opportunities on a map, and also create saved filters and create custom notifications for them. So the map view will be getting us those features very soon, and we're super excited about that. The second is sorting on mobile. So right now, we have mobile lists, and of course you can do sorting and filtering on the web, but on mobile, it's defaulting to whatever web is powering. But we want to allow users to say, hey, I want to see the highest paying jobs. I want to see the closest jobs. I want to see the jobs that are starting the soonest. That allows us to kind of give the users what they want up front and center, and we hope increase the click-through rate of those and success of those job claims and shift claims. We're also going to be releasing a user preference section. So we do have saved filters on the jobs platform, but we're going to be adding kind of an overall user preference section. This is going to be things like availability, what types of jobs, what other custom fields that you created that you can allow them to actually filter their preferences by. Now the final thing kind of here in mobile that's kind of nodded for the next couple months here is push notification deep linking. Now this is going to be a huge win for users who can now just click any notification and jump directly to the data that's relevant there. Now jumping into admin efficiency. Now, of course, this might be something that folks here are particularly interested in, because this affects your day-to-day. So the first one, and one that I'm super excited about, is bulk append. Now, we've heard a number of users and a number of use cases where bulk append is the kind of number one request. So I wanted to just show you very quickly here what's coming in our next release for bulk append. So if we're looking at a user list, and let's say only a few of these users or a filtered set of these users need to be added to a new location, I can go ahead and select those users. And now with the bulk append, I can open up the location, add the home office, and choose append, remove, or what we had before is just replace. So by clicking append, I can now add home office to just those users. If those users already had that location, they will not, it will just stay as is. And if they had another one, it won't be replaced. So a very kind of powerful feature that will allow us to streamline a number of different use cases. Another admin tool, bulk document download. So allowing you to go into a user's document list and select what you want to download, or even a list of tasks and select the documents linked to it. Effective dates. So we revamped and re-overhauled our entire pay and bill rate section. And now we're going to also add on the ability to set effective dates on any of those rates, allowing you to say this date, this pay rate should take effect from Jan 1, or this date should take effect from March 1. So you can save those rates, view the historical rates, and make sure that you're not having to remember the day of to make an update. Location-based time zones. Now, for folks who operate across the world, across the US, sometimes it can be frustrating to have to sort your calendars or set your calendars to a specific time zone, or even make sure that those time zones are being added dynamically and correctly. So we're adding location-based time zones that allow you to automatically set any shift associated with that location to that same time zone. And this will also allow you to simplify the filters for those calendars. So if you want to view something on a PST calendar, you can filter to any locations that have PST as their time zone. One of the most upvoted features this year is the delete broadcast. So maybe you made a mistake or sent a broadcast you didn't want out there in the world. We're adding in the delete broadcast functionality and should be in your accounts very soon. The final kind of admin efficiencies thing I want to call out is custom OT allocation. Now, in a typical, W-2 business, sometimes there's pretty strict rules around how OT is allocated, and it honestly doesn't matter as much because it's a single employee and a single payer. In the case of, staffing firms where you want to be able to say, hey, this client agreed to pay overtime because they were the last person to approve it, even though it was at the beginning of the week, we want to make sure you're empowered to do that. So we're creating a dropdown to allow for custom OT allocation based on kind of the settings that you guys have asked for. Now, again, try to fly through here because we got a lot to cover. And in Q1 here, we're going to be updating the platform kind of core functionality with a number of key features. Dependent fields. Dependent fields is the ability to say, when I select CNA in my role, I want to make sure that this other dropdown only shows the relevant fields for that, that first selection. So this allows you to map which fields in a second column are relevant to the first column. You can also map which other columns are required. So if you want to hide or show other columns based on the selection. Now, what this does holistically is it takes our record detail model, that form of creating a user, creating a shift, creating a location, and it gives you the power to define the exact structure, the required fields, and the validation of what is related to other fields. So we're super excited about this. We've already started to see with a number of state EVV programs that they require a specific set of data. So we're going to be able to fly through those qualifications once we have dependent and required fields in the system. Now, the final thing here is, I think, something most people will be really excited about, and that's the Teambridge platform. And if you've ever kind of been frustrated by the limitation of it, like we hear you, we want it too. Formulas will be first coming to the pay rules space. Now, the pay rules, if you've kind of played with them, we shipped them late in 2024. They allow you to modify a default pay rate either up or down by a specific number or a specific percentage. And that's super exciting. That allows you to say, hey, if this person is a platinum, user, let's go ahead and give them a 50 cent per hour, bump on their pay rate. It also allows you to kind of, make moderate reductions on specific shifts that are tagged. But what if you wanted to actually create formulaic total pay or total bill? Now, the most common use case I've seen for this is, let's say a facility cancels at the last minute, and you have a contract with them that says they owe a minimum of 4 hours on the bill rate. Now you can say 4 times bill rate, and that's what you're going to set the total bill to. Maybe you have a minimum guaranteed pay. So you create a pay rule that says when the shift is clocked out, if the total hours worked is less than 5 hours, we're going to go ahead and give them the 6-hour minimum. And that would be 6 times the pay rate. So you're able to use the pay rules in those instances to reset the pay, total pay and total bill. Cool. So that's over 20 new features, and that's just going to be in the next kind of 2.5 months here in Q1. So super exciting. You'll see those in your accounts. If you don't, feel free to reach out to your implementation manager, CSMs, because they'll be able to give you the latest update or activate it if it is in fact kind of in a targeted or rolled out release. So where are we going? In 2025, Teambridge will become the most engaging workforce management platform on the market. And we saw some of those, improvements we're trying to make. We're going to make a lot of, enhancements to the core platform and the underlying technology. But really, the way we get there starts with the app and the ideas that you have in your head as Teambridge admins, as Teambridge leaders. So we want to help make those ideas a reality. One of the things we're going to be doing in 2025 is really pushing one of the key elements that makes Teambridge different, and that's the mobile app experience. So we're going to give you the power to actually control that even more with what we call App Builder. App Builder starts all the way from registration, and it goes completely through the employee lifecycle. So it starts with even building custom registration flows and custom forms that allow you to collect data wherever you want to and funnel it into Teambridge as kind of your main source of truth. We're going to let you create even more powerful custom dashboards. So you're not going to be restricted in terms of the layouts for both web and mobile. You're going to actually be able to control those experiences and create more parity across your web and mobile application. We're going to be launching a complete overhaul to automations with all the features that we know, our customers are just dying for. If a quick story time here, since we have a few minutes, the first version of automations actually was just schedule only shifts and only text messages. So we went from that kind of, let's call it MVP of when something happens on a shift, we send a text, to the automation platform that you all use extensively, sending millions of automations every day. But where we want to go to next is, again, a step change above that. We want to add bulk actions that allow you to intelligently say when something happens for every user that has this data set, make this change, or automatically archive any document that matches this document if they uploaded a new one. We want to add blocking modals so that at any moment throughout the user flow, if you want to require information or make sure that they consent to some action you're about to take, you can actually create that feature directly in automations. We're going to create branching logic. Now, this might sound like techie, but I think most of you who have built automations realize you often need to create 5 or 6 automations for one, workflow that you're doing. We want to be able to create that all within one automation to make that kind of, management screen of your automations very elegant. And to that same effect, we're going to add if-else statements so that if you want to do an automation for X users, but everyone else has to get something else, you can do that all within one automation. And then finally, kind of, called out here is integrating that formula feature directly into automation so that you can use formulas both in the conditions, the actions, and pull in those variables to create dynamic content from the automation action itself. So how do we get to an app builder world? Well, we want to make sure you can build the right interface for your team at each step of the way. That's one of the exciting things we've seen with Teambridge today is that folks are creating access groups that actually move people through the funnel and change the experience in their app. We want to empower you to actually change the style of the mobile app to match your brand even more. And then using automations, power original features that you create on the fly, and you can actually A/B test and experiment. So that's kind of, a little bit of a preview of 2025, but we also heard you wanted more. So we have a few things we wanted to talk about. The first is how Teambridge is going to address AI. Now, if you've been following the news or any of that, I'm sure that AI is buzzworthy. It's exciting, but the truth is AI only provides value if we can be at the center of your data and your operations and your systems. Today, Teambridge is usually at the center of all three of those already. So we're uniquely positioned to be able to provide a crazy amount of value here in the AI space. We normally have as much data about your system as possible because of Teambridge's flexible data structures. We normally are plugged into most of the systems and the other integrated tools that you use. And we also power a lot of your operations with automations. So with that context, we hope to be able to do something that most other AI tools cannot do. So the first thing we want to release is a Copilot search. Now this is your regular search, but to the next level with key functionality baked into it. A traditional search allows you to find most things, directly with an actual exact keyword match. But with more semantic querying, you can actually find data that's just related to what you're searching for or that matches the same semantics. So we want to make sure you can find anything quickly without needing to jump to a workspace, whether that's a user, whether that's a shift, whether that's a location or a client or a relationship with a client. We want to make sure you can do anything. So not just, find that person, but maybe take a quick action or build an automation based on what you're searching for. Maybe build a workspace. Here in the example on the right, you see who was late this week. Maybe you have a button to quickly add a workspace that shows you everyone who's late this week and share that with the client. So we want to make sure you can do anything, take quick actions, and also build, directly here in the Copilot search. We also want to make sure we're going to unlock, true efficiencies at scale. Teambridge has always been about automating the busy work so that you can focus your staff and your team members on revenue generating activities. So Teambridge AI agents or Teambridge AI teammates, again, positioned at the center of your data, your systems, and your operations, are well positioned to be able to handle some of the most high volume and repetitive clerical tasks. This could be going to a government website and checking to make sure a credential is valid. This could be reaching out to a teammate or a staff member to make sure they upload their next credential because they've been slow compared to the due date. So the goal here is really to reduce that admin overhead and increase the speed and consistency of some of these really important client staff facing activities. So that's great. We're super excited about our AI features coming here in 2025. But there's also one more thing I wanted to cover here in our last 2 minutes, and that is Teambridge's money platform. So in the next quarter, we're going to be releasing Teambridge Instant Pay that allows your team to cash out their earned wage access nearly immediately after their shift is complete. Now, there's a really unique element to how and why Teambridge is well suited to be able to power this compared to some of the other vendors you may be using or may be considering. One, we can reduce risk and fraudulent payments significantly because we are directly integrated to the Teambridge core data. We know exactly how often people show up, how often people show up on time. We know the schedule that they've worked in historically and they have planned in the future. Now, every other instant pay and daily pay provider out there currently just ingests a single number, and that's how much money that person is owed. And then they decide, hey, let's give them 80% of this. Let's give them 100%. But if there's fraud, we then pass that fraud and that risk on to you, the customer. Teambridge will be able to create much more robust risk reduction and reduce fraud payments because we have all that data. And because of that, we can also get better terms with our banks. We can pass along better terms to you, and we can increase the total cash out amounts given to the end user. So now this is a better experience for the non-fraudulent payments that are flowing through the system. And you can also use Teambridge automations and policies to kind of power additional incentives in the system, whether that is, hey, if you work 5 shifts this week, we'll, up the amount that you can cash out or give you a $10 bonus. All of that, again, integrated with Teambridge data in real time allows them to have that earned wage access and provides a significant upgrade over the traditional third-party, CSV or SFTP download that we see with some of the current instant pay providers. So I know we're just on time, but a quick recap. That was over 20 features coming here in the next few days, a massive amount of exciting rollouts coming in the 2025, including instant pay and AI teammates. And overall, I hope you guys got a quick preview into the app builder world that we're headed towards that gives you the power to A/B test and deliver amazing employee experiences in custom mobile and web applications. So thank you all for joining. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and reach out to your implementation managers, your CSMs if you have any questions, and we'll be sharing the recording of this after.